Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar, What's New in Salesforce Spring 17. My name is Andy Cluck and I'm on the marketing team here at Ledgeview Partners. We're a Salesforce Silver Consulting Partner and a Salesforce.org registered partner. For those of you today who are unfamiliar with us, Ledgeview Partners helps businesses transform their approach to sales, marketing, and customer service by aligning these teams to focus on improving their customers' experience, but also providing management with metrics through technology to evaluate their success. I'm sure many of you are excited that winter is coming to an end and spring is in the air. That also means that Salesforce's Spring 17 release is out, and it's jam-packed this year with over 300 new and improved features. Today, we have two of our Salesforce certified experts joining us, and they're going to spotlight the top new features that users and admins can and should be taking advantage of right away. But before I turn things over to the presenters, just have a couple housekeeping items to cover. First off, today's webinar is being recorded and it will be available on demand after the live session. All attendees and those who registered will receive an email shortly following this webinar, and that's going to have a link to access the presentation on demand. We encourage you to share this with your team and network as well. And also, to ensure the best audio quality, we do have everyone in listen-only mode, but if you do have a question, please submit those on the question pane of the GoToWebinar control panel. We have a lot to cover today in a short time, so we promise to follow up after the webinar with answers to your questions that you submit. All right, now it's time to introduce our presenters today, as we have the dynamic Salesforce duo today of Ben Doler and Tony Clemens. Both Ben and Tony are certified Salesforce consultants here at Ledgeview Partners. Ben has been in the realm of Salesforce for over 9 years and Tony for over 5, so we have 14 years of combined experience diving into the features today. Thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedules, guys. It's all yours.
Thanks, Andy. Yep, as Andy mentioned, my name's Ben. I'll be going through some of the initial part of the presentation, and then I'm going to turn it over to Tony midway through, and he'll cover some of the other additional features as we get through the presentation. But first, what we want to do is a poll for Lightning versus Classic. So as we went through this list, we were looking at which features involve Lightning, which features involve Classic, which ones are both. So what we want to try to get a feel for is, if you're an admin or if you're a user, which side of Salesforce are you currently using? Are you a Salesforce Classic user, or are you a Salesforce Lightning user? So if you're unsure, the Classic interface is the one that's been around forever. It has a tab field at the top with search and has a quick pane on the left. Yeah, we've got it up here. So the screenshot on the right is the Classic look, and then the Lightning look is the one on the left. It's much more white. There's more white space between items. It has a different feel to it. So I'm not sure if the poll's still open or if Andy's already closed that out. But we're going to come back to that and look at those numbers at the end, because as we've been noticing, there's definitely a trend with each one of these releases within Salesforce. So when we dug through that list of enhancements, Andy mentioned there's over 300 new features and enhancements in this Spring 17 release. We try to key in on just some of the ones that we thought everybody could use. So there's a lot of real finite details, a lot of granular notes in some of the components that are being released and enhanced. But these are a little more generalized for users and for admins. First, we're going to touch on some of the search enhancements that they brought out with Spring 17, and we'll also review some of the things that are already in place in case some people are unaware of all of the functionalities that's been added to search over the years. Then we'll also dive in and look at Convan. That was a new thing within Lightning and has really been expanded with this latest release in Spring 17. Then I'll end up turning it over to Tony, who's going to talk about a new favorites feature that's in Salesforce, as well as dive in a little bit more into the feature breakdown and what this means for Salesforce and your org going forward. And then lastly, we've got some resources for you, where you need to go if you want to look at all of the release notes yourself, where you can find additional information or other videos, etc. So first, let's dive right into the search enhancements. Now, the search enhancements piece that we're going to cover, it covers both Salesforce Classic and Lightning, although there is a divide with some of the functionality, and we'll get into that here in just a minute. So first, we'll just cover a review of searching in Salesforce. Now, I'm sure most people are aware of wildcards, so you can use an asterisk to search for one or more characters at the middle or end of a search term. You can also use a question mark to just replace a single character. What seems to be a little less known is that operators are also involved. Those have been around for quite a while, but they do help narrow searches down. You can use those keywords, and not, or the word or, in your search terms to sort of combine those words together to limit your search to something that has both of those or is missing one of them. So in the case of looking for John Smith, if you just put John Smith in, not only will you find a contact for John Smith, you might find contacts that have John or contacts that have Smith. But if you're using that keyword, that operator and, you're going to lock Salesforce's query down to say, I want a result that has John and Smith in the same record. So those have been around for a little bit. Those aren't new, but they're very helpful when you're trying to narrow your scope of search, especially in really large orgs or orgs that have a lot of records. Salesforce also has nicknames involved. They released that a few releases back, where if you're unsure how someone's name was spelled, whether they used a short version or a variation, whether it was Robert or Bob or Bobby, whether it was John or Jonathan, they'll do searches on all those. If you put in one of those names, in this case John, regardless if you're spelling it with an H or not, it'll still pull back results that have those variations along with the longer form Jonathan. So it'll use it'll expand its query out to include nicknames or full names when you're doing searches. Additionally to that, there's also spell correction involved. If in the instance where you do a search and you have no results returned, Salesforce will look at the terms that you used to search and try to determine was one of those spelled incorrectly. And if it is, they'll automatically correct the spelling of that term and rerun that query immediately and pull back results for the corrected term. So that's something that's not really displayed to a user. You don't really notice it, but you can try that in your own org. You can go in and take a word that you know is going to be spelled wrong, do a search on it, assuming that it doesn't find that mismatched term somewhere in your system, it will actually correct the spelling and pull back results based off that corrected spelling. But there won't be a notification. There's no simple notification that comes up that says they've corrected it, kind of like Google does. You just do it behind the scenes on the fly. Additionally to those, they get even further into a relaxed query. So again, if your term doesn't match anything within your system and everything's spelled correctly, they'll actually expand that term out. So then they start swapping characters around. They start looking for plural variations. In the case of something that might have an E at the end of it, they might go and look for that. So they start to take that search term and really let it go a little further and start playing around with it to see, well, what can we find that would match that's very similar to what you were searching for? Again, that only happens, though, if you didn't get an exact match. So those two instances, spell correction and relaxed query, only happen when there's no match to your existing term. Then they go and expand it out to try to at least get you some sort of result, rather than just leaving you hanging with a page that says, we didn't find what you were looking for in the system. Lastly in here, within search, they also use lemmatization. So that's a scenario where they take a word that you put in and break it down to the root form of the word, and then use that to find variations in the same tense of that word. So we've got just a short example here on the screen. If you were to put in run or ran, they would actually start expanding it out to look for running. Or if you put in running, they would look for the word run as well and bring those back immediately in search results. So those happen right away with the search results to get you more results potentially on what you're looking for. Now, all of these things are in this on this page. Those are all on by default. There's no admin to set this up. These are all built into the search today. There's no additional configuration. They're on and they're running right now. So you can go into your own org and test some of these out to see how these pieces work. Now, in addition to what's been happening with searching, they've gone through and added a couple of other features to that with Spring 17. One of them being searching for contacts using an account name. So not only, you don't necessarily have to know what the contact's name is or how it's spelled if you know what the account is. Now you might say, well, why is that important? I usually know who the contact is. And in most cases, that's probably true. But if you have an account that has 20 or 30 contacts in it, maybe you can't quite remember exactly what that person's name was. You know they're a buyer, or you know they're an HR person, but you can't remember who they were. The name escapes you for some reason. You can instead, now that Spring 17 releases out, just put in that person's account name, and on your search results page, you will get all the contacts that are also associated with that account name. So not only will it go and pull back the account that you're searching for, it'll pull back all the contacts. What that's going to do is save a lot of time navigating and clicking just to find that one individual. In the past, if you were to go through this process, you would search for the account, you would find the account, click on it, go into the account, you'd either use the hover from a contacts perspective, or scroll down to the related list, or in Lightning, find the related list section for where the contacts are. Go into that list, because usually that displays 5 or 10 or 15, depending on what the admin set up for how many you can view on a page. You go into that list and start sifting through that list. That might limit you to 25. You start paging through just to find that one person who might be a buyer. So you've gone through a series of clicks that may have only taken you 30 seconds, but there's a lot of navigating to get there. Now that they've added this feature for looking for a contact just through the account name, you can find it right away from the search results page. And this is true for both Classic and Lightning. It functions the same way in both systems. Lastly, what we have for searching in Salesforce is filtered searching. So this applies only to Lightning. And this was a new function within Lightning, so that when you're trying to search through the system using global search, you can lock your search down to a specific object. Typically, everything is global from a search perspective. As soon as you jump into the results, it always takes you to a top results area. And then from there, you've got to figure out, okay, well, I don't really need top results. I just want to look at accounts, or I just want to look at my cases, or I just want to look at leads. Well, now you can do that and shortcut the system by putting that in as part of your search term. And let me jump into our demo org here. So we've got a demo org set up, and then within search, so say I want to look for an account. I know that there's an account that has Sons in the name of it, but I can't remember what it is. Well, rather than doing just a global search up at the top, which would give me all of my top results, and it could be in there, but it could not be, I can instead start typing out an object name. So in here, I can just start typing out accounts. I can, as soon as I get a couple characters in, it's showing me I can limit my search to a specific object. So now I can limit it to accounts, and then maybe from here I'll put in Sons. And Salesforce will go back and search only the accounts object for me, and it takes me right into that accounts subsection within search and pulls back all my results. So this is true for almost any of the objects within Salesforce. And if, say, you want to get rid of that, you can always click on the X that's in here, and then you could turn around and do a full global search, which is the more traditional sense, where it brings you into top results and lists out a bunch of your top result items, and then you can dive into the objects if you want to on the left menu. But if you wanted to focus just on leads, you could be looking at leads. If you wanted to do cases, you could do cases. So they've expanded this out so you can really get into these objects quicker and find that one piece of data you're looking for much faster. Now, the only limitation of this is you can only do one object at a time. So you can't put, I want to look at accounts and contacts and put in a search term. It is locked to just one. But it is a step in the right direction in that you don't have to start navigating to the search page and then into an object to find the piece of information you're looking for. Okay, so the next item that we had on our agenda is in regards to Convan. Now, Convan is a Lightning-only feature. It was released a couple of versions ago, and when it had come out, it was originally titled the Opportunity Board. And that was very specific because Convan only existed on opportunity list views. So if you're currently using Lightning, I'm not sure if you are yet, but if you're currently using Lightning and you went to opportunities, rather than just seeing everything as a list view like you would in Classic, you had the option to convert that entire list over into a board that looks like the screenshot that we've got on the screen here. So the benefit of that was it allowed some sales reps to be able to navigate through opportunities quicker because you can just drag and drop through this interface. You could take an item that's in needs analysis and drop it over into proposal, or you could take one out of the qualification and drop it in needs analysis. Whatever your stages were configured from an opportunity perspective, you can move them around. And then all of the totals, the summarization that was happening at the top, that was all automated. So that would then roll up, and it has a nice feel to it, especially when being presented, if a sales rep is sitting in front of an executive, and they could show exactly where everything sits. This sort of gives a nice visual pipeline of where everything sits for those records. Now, that was limited just to opportunities. With Spring 17, they've now expanded that to be almost everywhere. So within Lightning, if you have an object and it has a list view, you can change that list view over into a Kanban view, where you could move records around from stage or from category to category. Now, this probably doesn't make sense in all objects. Maybe it doesn't make sense in accounts unless there's a certain type of classification you're using on accounts. But for contacts, it makes sense. For leads, it really makes sense because think about a lead process. You've got your stages for lead. Are they new? Are you working this lead? Are they qualified? Are they unqualified? You can set up the same type of scenario from leads. When it comes to cases, stages cases are in. If you have a simplified case process from a customer support standpoint, You can easily just have a view, a Kanban view, where you can start dragging cases in between stages. If you know that the customer service is working on the issue, they don't need to provide anything additional on the case, and they can just move it over. That would be a perfect scenario where they could just start rearranging those and saying, oh, we're now working on these. These we're waiting on internal replies on. These we're waiting on customer information for, etc. So let me jump into our demo again here and grab one of these scenarios. So I'm going to look at leads, since that's one of the areas I think that provides the most amount of value. So when we're in leads and you're in one of your list views, I'll go into my open leads here. I can go in and look at leads. Oh, and I'll jump back into a grid. When you first load any sort of list view, they'll always have this sort of this grid layout where you've got your records, traditional as and is the same style of layout the Classic has. But within your display, you can change this over to a Kanban. And one of the other features within this Kanban view was in the past, when you looked at Convan from an opportunity standpoint, it was limited to which record type you were on. That was another change that they made to this so that they could expand it out to all the other objects, is that it no longer matters what record types you have when you're trying to look at a list from a Kanban perspective. It instead will group these all by record type at the top of your Kanban listing. So for leads, we have 3 different record types. We have a data.com record type, we have a lead record type, and pardot. And I can jump between these 3. And rearrange these lists as needed. They'll still have the same statuses, but if they had different statuses, all of these statuses would end up changing based on which record type I'm in. So from a lead perspective, it becomes incredibly simple to say, oh, I've been working with Reggie here. I'm going to move this over into working. That's no longer an open lead. And this record's now edited. I didn't have to go look for Reggie and then edit the record and change the status. I can just move it and it's done. Their validation rules and things do apply to this, so if you have validation rules set up, those will abide by these rules. So if you say, well, to get out of this stage and into another one, you have to have these fields, those all still apply. They're checked, so it'll prevent a user from doing something erroneously. But this, if you have a more relaxed setting or the users already have all the data in their fields, this becomes really simple to come in and just start moving pieces around to get to allow your users or you as a user to work quicker within the system. All right, and now we're going to get into favorites. I'm going to turn that over to Tony.
Thanks, Ben. So for favorites, just like the last 2 demos, favorites is only available in Lightning. So if you're not running Lightning, unfortunately, you won't have the favorites feature. So as far as favorites, what is a favorite in Salesforce? So favorites are going to give you quick access to your records, so different home pages, different lists, different dashboards, reports. If you have a lead that you want to keep tabs on, you can favorite the lead. However, you're limited to 200 of these. If you do get to 200, that's good, but you know, at 200, I think that's a good number to be able to have that many to favorite. So, and as far as favorites in Salesforce, they are not like a Google favorite or a Mozilla favorite. Once you log into Salesforce, your favorites are going to be in your system. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what internet browser you're in. You're still going to have access to all your favorites in Salesforce once you log in. So let's jump into a demo org, and I'll show you how you get to those. So let's go here. So under opportunities, let's say I have an opportunity that I want to keep tabs on. So let's click on certain corporation here. So I click on here, and you can already see, so I have already favorited this opportunity. So if I want to unfavorite it, I would just click that button here, and it's unfavorite. So let's refavorite this opportunity. So now it's in my favorite list, and when I come in here, it should be at the bottom. So there is my favorite opportunity. So, you know, if you do get close to that 200 list and you want to be able to get to one quicker, what you're able to do is, so that new opportunity that we just created, or new favorite that we just created, let's search here. Oh, great example, Tony. And so we click here, and now we're at our favorite. So now we have a Surety Corporation, new business, and we click in there, and we're to that field real quick. So as I just typed that, that wasn't the best wording for a favorite. So let's say we want to rename that favorite when we're coming in here. So we come in here, and let's say a Surety Corporation, new business, 110K. That's not what we want to see when we're looking for our favorite. So we'll come in here and say, let's rename this Big Deal 110. Big Deal 110K. So that is what we're going to relabel that. So now when we come in here, we can go down, Big Deal 110K. It doesn't change the name of the opportunity. It just changed the name of the favorite. So those are a few of the features that favorites bring. One of the last things is under each of the different object tabs, under contacts, whatever your favorites are, this one doesn't have any, but under opportunities here, we have all our favorites. So my favorite, Big Deal. Under cases, we have different case numbers that we favorite. So those are all going to show up at the top when you drop down on this caret here to be able to go to those favorites in that area as well. So push opportunities, that takes you to the favorite. So that is favorites. Let's jump back here. Forward. So now I'm going to cover the overview of feature breakdown. So what Ben and I did is we looked through the Salesforce Spring 17 release notes and identified how many of the release features and enhancements are geared towards each Classic and Lightning. So Andy, if you could pull up the results right now. So this is the poll results. We have about 60% of you on Classic, 40 on Lightning. And the reason we took that poll is based off of what we looked into on the release notes. About 1% of those release features and enhancements are dedicated to Classic only. 25% are dedicated to both Classic and Lightning, and then 74% are dedicated to Lightning. So as you can see, 99% of the features and enhancements are geared towards Lightning. So as we go through all these different advancements and features, we can definitely see a trend of Salesforce moving solely to Lightning eventually. Not today, but definitely could be here in the near future. So if there is a time where you want to move to Lightning, I would definitely recommend it. So as far as being able to do that, one of the things that came with the Spring 17 release was the Lightning Experience evaluation. So if you are an admin and are entertaining the idea of moving to Lightning, what you're able to do is go in under your setup and run a Lightning Experience readiness report. So pictured here on the left, that is what the report's going to look like. And in some other things of why you want to go to Lightning, the Lightning interface looks a lot like the Salesforce One mobile app. So maybe your sales reps are using that, and that's what they see on a daily basis. So maybe when they log in on the computer, they're seeing Classic, and it could be confusing. So not trying to push anybody any way, but definitely see the value of Lightning. Also, if you were leery of moving to Lightning because Quotes wasn't in Lightning, that came with Spring 17. So another reason, maybe that was a reason you weren't moving. So like I said, we can definitely see the trend of Salesforce moving solely to Lightning and really wanting everyone to move towards that. And as they release those new cool features, those are most likely going to be on the Lightning interface. So so some small windows here, but what you'll see in the report, it's going to identify all the good, the bad, and what needs attention. So as you go through that list and you see, what it would take for your system to move to Lightning, there could be, not that many things, or there could be a huge laundry list of things that you need to update in order to get to Lightning. One of the features that Salesforce includes with that readiness report is a quick 30-minute consulting of you moving to Lightning. So they advertise it as a consulting. However, it's a webinar as a group, so it's not real one-on-one meeting with you to talk over your readiness report. So if you get into it and you really are looking to move to Lightning and you want a more one-on-one approach to move and let you know how much effort that's going to take to get into the Lightning experience, definitely reach out to LedgeView. We're here to help. The account executives should be able to get you in touch with our sales support team, and they can review what you have in your readiness report, and then they'll most likely pull Ben, Kevin, or myself in to kind of go over that with you to let you know what it would take, how many hours it would take to get there, and then you can start really bringing or get everyone on the new features and just definitely get you up and running quicker with the Lightning experience. So that is that. As far as resources, like I said, Ben and I did review the release notes. However, if you want to go and look at those yourself, what you're able to do is if you go to salesforce.com/new features, on the bottom of that page, you'll be able to access the release notes. So you'll have to scroll all the way down and then click Access the Release Notes, and you'll see the Spring 17 release notes. So if you're looking to do a little bit more research yourself, you could definitely go there. As far as LedgeView resources, I'm going to let Andy talk a little bit more about that, but I just want to thank everyone today and hope to talk to you soon.
All right, thanks Ben and Tony. You guys covered some great new features that everyone using Salesforce, especially Lightning obviously, can get started taking advantage of immediately. Should make life a little easier for everyone on Salesforce going forward, and obviously for those not on Lightning right now, it's something to look into with pretty much all the new updates being done for Lightning over the classic version. But before we close things out, I do want to mention some of LedgeView Partners resources for Salesforce users and admins as well. We have a great blog that you can subscribe to on our website. It's very popular, as shown here. All you have to do is really enter your email and hit submit. When Ben and Tony and our other consultants come up with tips, tricks, updates, etc., they are posted on our blog, and when that happens, you'll just receive an email notification that a new post is up for you to check it out. So we really encourage you to check out our YouTube channel as well. That's LVP CRM. We have tons of videos and webinars on anything and everything CRM, including Salesforce, marketing automation tools, thought leadership, and even more. Please be sure to head over and take a look at some of our videos as well. Finally, a great resource is our website. If you're unfamiliar with LedgeView Partners and you have questions about our company or services or the Salesforce Lightning as they're talking about, you can contact us through the website on the Contact Us link. And you can also email us at contactus@ledgeviewpartners.com. So I encourage you to also browse through the site as there's some great content out there as well. All right, just as a reminder for everyone who registered and attended today, you're going to receive an email with a link to the on-demand recording. I encourage you to share that with other Salesforce users and admins in your company or even your network. Thanks again for joining us, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day.